Hi, this is Cindy
And Michael.
from Part-Time Permies, and what are we doing today?
Well, we're going to make some dinner. It's gotten a little bit late. We've been busy all day. And I have some walleye and some potatoes from the garden. And we have a campfire that's going, and so we're going to try and cook in the dark real quick and make some dinner. We burn mostly locust because that's what we have here, and it burns really hot. So it's not going to lend a lot of flavor like a nice apple wood or something, or a pecan, but it works really well. We're looking to get a really hot fire. I loaded a bunch more wood on it. We're looking for the big coals in the center, which are starting to develop, and we're going to actually move those under our pan. So we're going to cook with hot coals and select what hot wood, and we're going to select what we want. We're going to move it towards our pan. One to cook potatoes, and I also have some mushrooms. I have foraged honey mushrooms, which just popped up after a whole lot of rain. We have a professional certified forager who finds them, and then I trust her that she's found them correctly, and then we cook them. We get one more here. So these are really hot, exactly what we want. Cooking this way, you can control your heat, cut the smoke down if we have really hot coals. So we're going to start getting the ground, the bricks hot. You can use anything. You can use a wire mesh. I like the bricks because they reflect some heat. Use cinder blocks. I'm just going to get this cast iron getting hot. These are traditional cast irons. We're going to do potatoes in here. The pan's getting hot. We're going to do some potatoes and some just seasoned potatoes. I've got a chopped up onion, just a regular old onion from wherever it came from. I've got potatoes from our garden, a couple different varieties. We're just going to cut them in some coins. Not too thick because they're going to take a while to cook, and so I don't want to take too long. So we're just going to add some olive oil, some salt, some pepper, real simple, and let that go. That should get that going in the small saute. Cool. Yeah, that got hot really quick. So we're working with, I mean, I'm used to professional terms, things heating fast, but this heats faster than a professional stove top. So we're talking really hot, which is good. I may have to reduce some of this coals for a little bit. I'm going to add some salt and pepper.
Pepper?
Fresh ground pepper. We grind our own pepper. It tastes way better than having the store grind it for you 2 years earlier.
So what do we have here?
So these are honey mushrooms. We had 2 days of almost constant rain, and we've had one nice day and a half nice. So they popped up. They were harvested yesterday. They're disappearing already. They're a little bit dirty, so I'm just going to cut some stems off and try and get some of the dirt off, pull the slug off of them. They're really nice. That's about it. So these are more or less mature. They come into a big head and then they break open. I have some bunches that we're not cooking tonight that look more like this. This is a young one. Like everybody says, mushrooms, don't eat them unless you're 100% or better assured what it is. I know quite a bit about mushrooms. I still don't really pick and harvest mushrooms unless it's like 2 or 3 varieties. So this is from our friend who is a professional certified forager. So I trust her. I have used and recognized most of them, but just as to be extra safe, we're working with professional foragers. So these are going to be nice. They're kind of somewhat of a delicacy because they're fleeting. They don't go to commercial market as often as chanterelles and morels and other things. Best way to clean mushrooms: use a dry towel and kind of scrape them and remove the dirt. Only wash them if you really have to. Some people say never wash mushrooms. It's okay to wash them. If they're crazy dirty, just go ahead and wash them. Wash them, dry them off, shake them dry, pat them dry with towels, paper towels, whatever you got to do. It's better than eating a whole ton of dirt. But if we can avoid it and eliminate it and go right to cooking, then it'll be better. So the beauty of open wood is I get a lot of heat. It's hot, it's fun, it's primitive, but I have to control too little, too much, and that's why I use the coals. I can move these coals in and out. All right, so I've just changed pans. I'm putting the big pan on to get hot. Put some more oil in. I toss the potatoes and onions a little bit and stir them around. Just threw them down on the ground. over some coals. I'm going to assume it's pretty hot down there. So they're going to keep cooking. This pan's getting hot with oil. We're going to do the mushrooms in that. This salt, pepper, when you cook mushrooms, you want to sear them extremely hot. Smoking hot oil, reasonable amount of oil to transfer that heat. You got to get them to brown before the water starts coming out. Mushrooms need to be cooked with a lot of room. Don't pile them up too much. That's about as much as you can get in a pan. At this point, my mushrooms are most of the way cooked. They're starting to wilt down. Add a little salt, a little kosher salt. A little fresh ground pepper. I have some whole butter. I think I'm going to put a touch of butter in there just for flavor. Put a little butter in the potatoes. So a lot of butter in the potatoes. Probably a lot of it will stay in the pan, but caramelized butter is pretty tasty with potatoes. The other oil in here is an olive oil, and it's an olive oil blend, so it's extra virgin olive oil, canola, grapeseed oil, sort of a Mediterranean blend that I like to work with. Nice flavor, but not too strong. It's got a real high heat abilities with it. Now these mushrooms are looking pretty good. I'm probably just going to transfer them on top of the potatoes because I need to get this pan back. So these are walleye, or walleye pike. It is a Midwest Great Lakes specialty. So pike is a very long, skinny fish that has lots of bones and lots of teeth. Multiple rows of teeth, so when you pull them out of the water, people usually whack them on the head because they don't want them alive in the boat. These were purchased commercially. These are sort of medium-sized walleye. It is a lake fish, so it's a medium to meaty flavor, a little more aggressive flavor than a lot of your ocean fish. Really quite popular and a delicacy in this area and others. So these are skin on. They've been scaled. Most of the pin bones have been removed. I don't feel any pin bones there. They've been cut out, and so they're pretty much dressed and ready to use. I like the skin; makes it easier to cook them. I'm just going to cut them in a couple pieces. So we're going to go in the large cast iron with them. I'll get the cast iron really hot again. I will season them. I will put them in skin side down to begin with. A lot of times I put a little mark on the skin. What that does is keep the fish from curling up. It's not uncommon to cornmeal or flour them, but if you have a hot enough pan, you don't have to do that. So we're going to venture that we can get a hot enough pan. A lot of times I just hand season, but so the fresh ground pepper, I want to do it from a height so that it goes on fairly evenly. Only thing to watch out for a fresh ground pepper, just grinding in a pepper mill or a coffee grinder. It will be twice as hot as your regular pepper, so use half as much, but you'll have a lot more flavor, not just the heat. You got a hot pan, that's what you want. Alright, we got everything in. A little tight, but not too bad. So if you got a hot pan and some oil to transfer the heat, put that fish in there, skin side down. Don't move it for a little bit. It will not stick. A decent cast iron or steel pan with a little bit of oil. If it's a clean pan, it's hot, your fish is dry, and you let it go, it will not stick. If it's sticking, wait until it releases. If it really waits a long time and starts to burn, you can probably pry it up a little bit with a spatula if you got one little sticky spot. But the reason fish sticks is pan's too cool, the fish is wet, or you didn't wait long enough. And that pretty much works for most of your meat, but fish is more particular. And you'll get a great brown, crusty finish with or without flour. It'll probably be 2 to 4 minutes on a side for a thin fillet like this. I'm looking for it to start to puff up a little bit and shrink. I am looking for a little bit of white sometimes. The edge of the fillet will start to cook, and you'll see the cooked portion start to creep around the edge. A good example right here. When it's about halfway, which we're getting close to here, is a good time to flip it. Again, I'm cooking about 1/2 to 3/4 on the skin side because I want a crispy skin. It's an edible skin. If you're going to leave skin on, you don't have to eat it, but it's usually nice. Just make sure it's crispy. Nobody wants to eat really wet, soggy skin. So yeah, see how this is getting glistening and it's really starting to pull away. I'm seeing that protein coagulate. I think I'm looking pretty good. This is a somewhat softer fish, I would say. Be a little careful with it. But yeah, so we got a nice golden brown skin, pretty crispy. I'm happy with it. So cooking over open coals like this, aside from putting up with a fairly intense heat in your face, you don't have to be a professional. Practice is probably the most important thing. I don't cook over open heat like this very often. I like cooking with gas and char grills, and I like cooking over open heat, but it's not practical for what I do on a professional level. But you can do this. A couple good pans, steel cast iron pans, play with your heat, and you can cook out in the middle of anywhere and get really good flavor.
How can you tell when this is completely done? It's curling
up a little bit. Again, I cooked it 1/2 to 3/4 on one side, so that was 3 minutes or so. So I'm just looking at a minute or two on this side. Once everything's a whitish color, it's cooked through. So here's our potatoes, seasoned with some mushrooms and onions. Pan handle got hot, even though I've got a nice protective grip on it because it was in the fire and close. I'm going to give a little more potatoes over here. That's a big portion, but I think we're hungry. A little more mushrooms over here. Again, if we're going to serve skin on, don't have to eat it, but we should present it skin side up. Here we are. We have some walleye, pan sautéed, or pan-seared walleye in a cast iron pan. Our potatoes, our friends foraged honey mushrooms, some onions. I guess we say there's some vegetable on this plate. We have some starch, but it's new potatoes. We got onions, mushrooms. We'll say there's some veg, no green veg today, but that's all right. We had that earlier. And we have this nice just salt and pepper walleye. So if you notice here, everything was just seasoned with salt, pepper, basic oil, or a little bit of butter. We didn't get into anything fancy. Didn't even use any herbs because we're at the campfire. And that's dinner for tonight.
So bon appetit. Please like, subscribe, and comment below, and I'll see you with the next video.
Have a good night.